Morning, everyone. Welcome to today's structured conversation on professional development opportunities and engagement. We have some of the PDC for SAAL members presenting today. So I'm Elizabeth Duzak, and I'll be sharing a little bit. We have Carrie is our technical coordinator, so she's going to be chatting in some things as well. Joe is the fearless leader of our group. And Renee will be sharing as well. Unfortunately, Emily couldn't end up joining us, but I've left her information on here because she is another person that you can contact with questions and so forth. So just as a quick logistics first, you need a YouTube account and channel to participate in the chat dialog box on the right-hand side of your screen. If you don't have a channel, there's a link already there to create one. I encourage you to participate in today's discussion by asking questions, sharing comments, and providing feedback through chatting. We'd also like you to be aware that there is a delay between our conferencing technology and the YouTube broadcast, so bear with us if it's a few moments before we respond. We'll get to your questions and comments. Thanks for joining us today. And I'm going to turn it over to Joe.
All right. Hello, everyone. As Elizabeth mentioned, my name is Joe Levy. In addition to my day job as the Executive Director of Assessment and Accreditation at National Louis University, I am the Chair of the Professional Development Committee for Student Affairs Assessment Leaders, SAAL. We're really excited to talk to you today, both about some considerations for professional development, but also about the resources that Student Affairs Assessment Leaders provides, namely through our committee, that you can get involved in and be aware of throughout the summer. You can see our agenda here. We'll give just very briefly some context and then largely be talking about professional development opportunities as webinars, literature, activities and events, and some resources. And as good assessment professionals, we wanted to clarify for you all what the learning outcomes are for today's session. So hopefully when we're through, you can identify at least 2 SAAL PDC offerings that might be of interest for you for your professional development. List at least 2 ways that you could contribute or recommend content for those offerings, and hopefully articulate a plan or be able to articulate a plan for at least 1 way to engage in professional development in the upcoming months, whether that's related to SAAL or not, because we have some additional resources included in the presentation as well. So again, I promised quick context setting. I know not every institution has the summer off or is on a schedule where courses aren't happening or there is some summer downtime. However, summer tends to be a time for professional development. So even if your institution is very year-round, a lot of professional organizations, conferences, resources are available in the summer. And so it's an important time to be aware of that and to try and capitalize on that. But I'd say a number of institutions do have at least some decrease in student activity and campus activity in terms of courses and even just the rhythm and seasonality of your institution and institutional processes. There can be an opportunity to capitalize on professional development. I know for SAAL, we get a lot of requests from people for professional development during the summer and structured resources. So because we've gotten those in the past, we wanted to make sure and try and be proactive and hopefully not too deep in anyone's summer to highlight some of those opportunities for people to get involved. And the folks that are part of this group are part of the Professional Development Committee. You can find our information on the website along with any of the other committee membership information for SAAL, but wanted to show it here. And within our team, the way we operate is we have a number of tactics and projects that we run. And so we have point people for each of those projects, as well as then the committee members work on each of those teams. That's who we have presenting and helping with the presentation today, are people that are involved with those different teams. So we'll be hearing from the folks that work very closely with each of these initiatives. So feel free to bring questions, and they'll also share how not only you can contribute to the content that they're offering, as well as digest and stay up to date with what we're looking to do. So now I'll turn it over to Renee to talk about webinars.
Perfect. Thank you, Joe. So my name's Renee Delgado-Riley. I'm the Director of Student Life Assessment and Research here at the University of Oregon. So it's a little still morning time for me over here. So when I was an undergraduate, I'd like to take a step back and talk about why something like this is so important. Is I was a first generation student and also a single parent. And if it weren't for the connections to these communities of support, similar to what SAAL offers, I wouldn't have had the chance to participate in experiential learning that got me connected to this field. And so, of course, in my professional world, I've used the same process of getting connected. And so one of the things that SAAL has, as many of you'll hear about today, is specifically our structured conversations, which is an interactive webinar. They're very consistent monthly, and they focus on assessment from subject matter experts. And so utilizing YouTube live events, as you all are experiencing today, we've hosted many webinars. And so even if you're not able to participate in an active session, just even going through our YouTube account, you can see some of the previous conversations. So just taking time while you're going through your everyday, if you have some office time, just turn on a YouTube event and you can hear it while you're working. So I think that's a great resource. Or you can join us for some of our upcoming structured conversations. The end of this month on June 25th, there's going to be an awesome conversation around engaging undergraduate students in assessment. And that should be very fun for all of us, right? Since some of us don't always work directly with students, this may be an opportunity to see from that lens. Also, we'll be having some upcoming conversations around data analytics and Excel in August. And so look forward to hearing some conversations around that topic. So besides our structured conversations, which is our premier webinar, there are also other free webinars available. I know summertime can be a little chaotic for a lot of us, but it can also be some downtime. So just kind of making time and writing down some time for us. I think sometimes we forget about ourselves in the process. And so I think it's important to look at some of the other resources that are available, whether it's through Campus Labs, Weave, or some of these other resources. We'll be sending you this PowerPoint, which has hyperlinks, so you can take some time to look at those. So I hope that you'll engage in something this summer. I know we're all really busy, but I hope that you would make some time for yourself and be a lifelong learner. And so I'll turn it back over to.
All right. So this is where Emily was going to talk, but since I've been working with her and helping with the blog, I can step in. But apologies that you all will hear from me some more. So the blog. The SAAL Professional Development Committee started a blog last year and have maintained it, where we try to ensure a frequency of posting at least twice a month, but sometimes we post more. And when you go to our website, you can search for the blog and you can see the archive where you can see the number of posts per month. We've been putting out a lot of really good content, getting some good traffic. We've even themed some posts in terms of the content that we're putting out there and trying to engage with folks. But to talk a little more about how the blog operates, we have a blog team of 5 where we every year in the fall, we put out requests to see who's interested in blogging for us and being part of our blog team, where you have some specific commitments and work with us throughout the year. So applications for that will come out in the fall, and we try and get a new group of bloggers each year. If you're the person that loves the idea of blogging or being involved and supporting it, then that's something that you can get involved in 2 ways. One, we always welcome guest blogging. So we have a link on our website where you can suggest content to go on the blog and offer up content that you'd like to write, as well as you can look to join the Professional Development Committee. And as part of the committee, you can then raise your hand and look to get involved and help support the blog team or help run some more of the management side of things in terms of coordinating the posts, publicizing the information, and getting word out there. We try hard with the blog to remain current and tie in our SAAL values of intentionality, curiosity, equity, and justice. And when we see trends and topics showing up, we try and respond to that. But again, since we do have a dedicated blog team, we try and respect their interests and priorities, and we're intentional in picking the people to be part of that team so that we have a diversity of voices and perspectives to engage not only the SAAL community, but beyond. So feel free to check out the blog. A lot of good content there. And then where you see any gaps or have ideas, not only can you comment on the blogs, but you can also put in a suggestion to be a guest blogger. Beyond the blog, SAAL also helped launch the Journal of Student Affairs Inquiry. And the journal is a peer-reviewed journal that SAAL helped launch a couple of years ago. And it's a great resource for assessment-related content. You can go to their website and see the articles that they have, and we have a couple of years worth of content. The goal for that journal is to advance student affairs assessment in both practice and scholarly research. You can submit manuscripts online, and they're published through this channel where all the requirements and information about the process can be found on the journal's website. Likewise, if you have questions, you can always reach out to us, and our advancement committee with SAAL actually liaisons the closest with the journal. But because the journal is producing some PD related content, we certainly collaborate there. So we're happy to field any questions that you all might have, but yeah, check out the journal as well. And so with those two pieces, there's certainly a good amount of literature that you can both digest in long form if you want more of the academic structure of articles, or in short form with blogs. And in both ways, you all can get involved by submitting your own content. All right, I will turn it over to Elizabeth to talk about activities and events.
So hopefully you've gotten a sense that some of these things that we've been talking about are SAAL specific, and some are just other resources that we want you to be aware of. One of the things, SAAL does not host any in-person conferences, but we do have a calendar that has events, including conferences and webinars that we're aware of. So this is a snapshot of, you can see on here, a snapshot of a few weeks in June. We've got today's structured conversation on the calendar, conferences coming up this week and then the coming weeks. What other conferences have you all attended in the summers? If you want to chat that into the box, into the YouTube chat box, I'd be interested. And if they're not already on the calendar, we can add them if we can find information. One of the things is that you can actually submit directly to the calendar as well. From our website, there's the Submit to Calendar button you'll see on there. So just as we think about conferences and actually going to events, that's a good resource to just check out the calendar on our website for other things that we're aware of. And Jessica mentioned the one that's on the calendar for next week, AALHE, and it's in St. Paul this year. Oh, and yes, I think that's Ohio State, right, Jessica, that has a conference. I'm not sure when that is, but again, if you know about it and you don't see it on the calendar, we can add it. Or if you have some extra time that you might be able to go to, feel free to check out our calendar. Oh, Jessica added in the chat box that the Ohio State one is this Friday. That might be what's on the calendar for the 7th, actually, the one day conference. So. And then one of the things that SAAL is doing while we don't host conferences, we are excited to help people connect about conference presenting or other ways of collaborating. So have any of you checked out our collaboration matching spreadsheet yet? Chat that into the box and let us know. we have expanded it recently. So this is a newly unveiling of the expansion to really emphasize different ways that you can collaborate, not just presenting at conferences. So whether that's writing a blog or a journal article like Joe just mentioned, doing a structured conversation, any of those types of things, ways that you can connect and find collaborators. One of the pieces is that we will not do the actual matching. You're going to put your name and email address in there, as well as the topics and the ways in which you want to collaborate, and then also be looking for other people who have put information in and might be have similar topics to you and overlap. Let's see. And another Joseph commented that this is an exciting tool. So thank you for that. We are, again, this is something we rolled out a little bit last year, but we've expanded it this year. Feel free to give us feedback too as you use it on other ways we can improve it or expand it. In addition to, I didn't have a screenshot of this, but in addition to the matching, we do have a tab with the national assessment related conferences that includes the proposal deadline date and the conference date and location. So if you just want heads up about some of the national conferences that you might think about submitting to, then that's another resource. I think that's all on this section. So we're going to go back to Joe for the open course.
All right. So one of the other events is our open course. In 2017, well, there have been a lot of lead up work, but 2017 was the launch of our open course. We created a massive open online course, a MOOC, in collaboration with Colorado State University called Applying and Leading Student Affairs Assessment. Applying and Leading Assessment in Student Affairs. And it's co-taught by myself and two other SAAL members or folks who work in assessment. And we've ran it 3 times, and we've had over 1,000 participants each term. And actually folks have asked about running it multiple times a year, and we're thinking about maybe doing that this coming year. It's traditionally been held in the spring/winter. The past 2 years, it started in February or late January. It's an 8-week course that's free. There's no credit awarded, but if you ace the quizzes, get a 75% or better on all the quizzes, you can earn a statement of accomplishment. And I included in the screenshot here the 8 different modules, so you can get an idea of the topics that are covered. And the course is completely self-paced. There's discussion boards and quizzes and opportunity to engage with the 1,000+ peers that you have in the course. There's tons of resources. Majority of the content and lecture information is delivered via video, but we also include PowerPoint downloads as well as downloads of the transcripts of the content. And then we link to a lot of articles and other presentations and resources and campus examples and books, and really try and continue to offer content not only relevant for the content that we were talking about in that specific module, but even broadening the conversation. Or maybe we just skimmed the topic of statistics, and if you wanted to know more there, we include links for deeper dives of that information. We have information for the course posted both on SAAL's website as well as Colorado State University Online has it posted on their website. We are currently in the process of working with Colorado State to determine when the next course launch will be. And part of that, I see Joseph commented, for folks enrolled in past iterations of the course, and materials still available. For now, yes. So people who have enrolled in the course have maintained access to the course since the course started. However, one of the reasons why we're in negotiations with Colorado State about when the course will be offered next is that Colorado State is not going to be partnering with Canvas moving forward for their open courses. So because of that, they're looking to a new platform, and we're keeping the course going, but we're going to put it in a different platform. So there is going to be a cutoff date, and I don't know that at the moment, but once I do know, I'll email it out to the SAAL listserv so that people can spread the word of, if you took the course in the past and we're meaning to get around to downloading resources or revisiting the content, do so now or by this date. Or it'll also then be a prompt of stay tuned for the next course iteration so that you can then join that course and have access to those resources. But people in the past courses should have access at the moment, and we will push more information out about access and course information as we have it. But encourage you all. We usually do some pretty heavy promotion of the course, which is probably why we get so many people to sign up. But we'll be also pushing out some resources here. One of our summer projects is to dig into the course data, and we did that last year, and we're in the middle of that process for this year, and we're going to push out then some results from what we found, what we learned, what we're going to do about it, and we'll do that through a couple different channels. So stay tuned for some of that data and examples of us practicing what we preach and using the data to close the loop and make some change for the better in the future. But I'll stop there, and feel free to contact us with questions about the course, and I'll look to turn it over to Carrie.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to take us through some resources that SAAL offers to you all. And one of the I think sometimes forgotten resources is our online assessment repository. And this is a place that's linked on our website that will link you to a Dropbox folder that has a different folders that you can actually access different content things. And so I think about a conversation we had on the listserv last week, and there was a lot of questions about who has examples of this resource or how they've done program review. And this resource repository is some of those kind of resources captured into different folders. And so any person that can access the website can access this Dropbox folder, and there's a variety of resources, things like assessment articles and readings that are really helpful. I have found that folder in and of itself to be very helpful as I've onboarded graduate students and are introducing them to student affairs assessment if they haven't received it in their courses yet. There's different things like course syllabi if you're thinking about adding an assessment course on your campus. Additionally, there's other resources such as past PowerPoints and resources from our structured conversations. Additionally, other folders such as program review documents, qualitative design tips and tricks, quantitative design, and strategic planning. And so I encourage you, as you're thinking, if you're a newer professional to student affairs assessment, or it's been a while since you looked through the folders, I encourage you to kind of check through those folders as you can or as you're interested based on topics. I think this is particularly important in the summer. Oftentimes, this is the time that we're maybe revamping one of our processes or kind of looking into a best practice for student affairs assessment in our offices. And so there are these resources that may be helpful that other campuses have uploaded or people have kept up to date with some of that literature. Additionally, one of the main attractions for SAAL is our listserv. And this is a listserv that has pretty specific requirements from, you have to be a member of SAAL to access and post in the listserv. And the purpose of this listserv is to ask questions or request resources related to student affairs assessment, to post job announcements in the field, and to share resources and ideas. And so it's really intended to be a place for student affairs assessment leaders across the campuses to share and connect with one another, ask questions, ask for resources, and post positions. And there are rules and etiquette suggestions about how this should be, and we send that out through our listserv frequently just to remind folks. Another thing is that I want to highlight with the listserv is we kind of get some common questions with the listserv. And so you have a few ways to receive messages from the listserv that I'd just like to highlight is you can receive a message from the listserv every time an email comes through, and that can go to your inbox. Some folks, that may be a little bit too much email in their inbox, and so you can also set the settings in the listserv to send you a digest of the emails that have occurred. And another idea is to actually set up a email rule in your email account that allows for anything that comes from the assessment listserv to go right into a folder. And some folks have found that to be really helpful. They know that they want to access the listserv messages or look back at it, but having it come through in their email one by one may be a little bit too much in their inbox. And another really important resource that I think is helpful is accessing the listserv archive. So once you're a member, you can join the archive with your subscription, and you can actually go back and look at what was the conversation, and it posts it month by month, similar to how our blog was archived on the website. You can see the messages that were sent through the listserv each month, and you also can do a search function. So sometimes as a newer professional to student affairs assessment, we have almost 10 years of listserv data that you can kind of comb through. And so it's actually kind of fun to kind of look and search program review and see, how has program review, how has that changed maybe over the last couple of years? What did people do about 5 years ago as compared to now? So you can definitely use a search function with keywords that may be of interest to you, or as you're designing strategic planning and learning outcomes, you can search those terms and access previous email messages that may have resources that you can also access. Additionally, there are other listservs that are available. There's an assess listserv that is similar to the SAAL listserv, but that really goes into broader context of assessment and often includes academic affairs, campus assessment professionals. And I think that's a helpful tool in terms of understanding how we connect our learning outcomes and our learning understanding of assessment across campus. And so that listserv operates similarly to our SAAL assessment, where you can also sign up to have a digested email. You can set up the rules in your email folder so that assess email content gets delivered directly to an email folder. And they also provide information and space for conversations around assessment and job postings across the country. So now that we've kind of shown you a broad overview of all the different resources that SAAL has to offer, we want to highlight the website a bit, because we've done a lot of work to really hopefully create that to be pretty accessible for a lot of the content we've gone over. And so the website can serve as a main function for how you can look for a lot of these opportunities. It's how you can learn and read about the journal. You can read the blog posts. You can see the different professional development opportunities. You can access the resources, as well as join SAAL and be a part of the listserv discussions. So I'm going to turn it over to Joe and see if he can walk us through the website.
All right. So let me share my screen. So for those who've never been to our website, this is the home page, and it has information about joining, a link to our mission and vision and values page, as well as some reflections from current members and a little thread of recent posts from the blog. When you're at the top, you can navigate through our mission, outcomes, leadership, bylaws, acknowledgements. The committees page is what I had alluded to before, where you can see the members of the committees. And here was the professional development committee I alluded to. If you click the journal button, I'll actually open it in a new tab, because it will take you then to, it takes you to our site. I thought it directly took you to the journal, but it links you, gives you information about the journal, and then if you click this button, it'll take you to the journal's website, which is external from SAAL's site. Letting that load. Yeah, there you go. And that's where, like I said, you can see information, past articles, guidelines for the authors, editorial board, more information about it, and issues that they've had. mentioned the blog. If you click the SAAL blog button, it'll take you to the blog, and you'll just see the stream of the most recent blog articles or blog pieces. Here's then the link to apply to be part of the blogging team. But like I said, we haven't put that post out yet. That'll come in the fall, but this is where you would go to look into that, and there'll be an active button when that is available. However, available right now is if you're interested in posting a blog and suggesting a topic, you can click this button here, and there's just a short little form, Google form that you fill out, talking about who you are, your idea, and then that comes to us, and then we respond. The blog team responds back to you, and we go from there in terms of looking to coordinate a piece if it's appropriate and fits with publishing schedule. And if you want to know more about who's currently blogging for us, you can go to the About Blog page. You can see our purpose as well as our bloggers and the folks that are part of the implementation team. The Professional Development tab has a couple different things that we have referenced. First, it has the development calendar that Elizabeth was talking about, and this is where you can see what might already be on the calendar. And if you click this link, you can submit potential new things to be added to the calendar. And we welcome submissions, and we'll just vet those that they're appropriate and related to the nature of our work, and then add those to the calendar so they're visible there. If you all are joining us, you are part of the structured conversation. If you go to the structured conversations tab, you can see we post the upcoming structured conversation that's happening with the information, registration, connection information. Then we also provide a link to the past sessions as well as our YouTube channel, where we collect all of these in a playlist so that you can see the past structured conversations. And then at the very bottom is where, if you have an idea for a future structured conversation, you could fill out a quick Google form, and we'll get that and then look to respond and get back to you. I mentioned before the open course is listed on our website. And so here's that page. You can see the registration information is from this past term. If you click the register button, it takes you to Colorado State's page where you actually sign up to register, but they don't have that active right now because we don't have the next term settled. But here's where you can just get additional detail and information about the course, as well as the faculty members and who all has been part of making the course possible. And then, as Carrie was talking about on the resources tab, here's where you can click to access the Dropbox folder, which has additional information from past information, as well as we tie in institutional resources. And this is where, as Carrie was alluding, if you have resources to add, and you're a member of SAAL, you can access this Dropbox folder and put them in there. And as Elizabeth was talking about, the interest matching for conferences or program blogs, articles, other collaborations, if you click this Connect with Colleagues button, it'll take you to that spreadsheet. And then we also maintain a list of student affairs assessment offices. And so if your office, if you have an office website, email us and we will add it here. Or if there's any changes to your office website, let us know and we can update the list. And then I wanted to quick show that collaboration spreadsheet that Elizabeth alluded to. It opens on the README tab, and so it gives you some information about what the content is and how to use it, and then you can navigate to the respective tabs. And the last tab on our website is the Join tab, where this just gives you information about how to join the listserv and become a member of SAAL, which is free. So if you're not currently a member and you meet the criteria, we would love to have you. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
And Joe, before you stop talking, we had a participant asks about committee membership and when people can get involved in committees for SAAL. So if you'll answer that as the chair of PDC.
Yeah, absolutely. So during the fall, when we do elections for any new positions, people can obviously run for new positions, but then also that's where, as a member, you can indicate committees that you might want to be a part of. And you get a list and description of all the committees, and you can indicate which ones you want to be a part of, and that's the time when you indicate your interest. You can always, at any time, reach out. Our contact information is available. You can always indicate your interest and look to just express that ahead of time, so that then we can always keep an eye out for when your information come across the membership and voting information when we get all of that data. Yeah, it'll be in fall. You'll see it come across the listserv for the voting, as well as the expressing interest in the committees. So stay tuned for that.
Perfect. So I'll go ahead and take over. And I apologize, I'm getting some feedback here. One second. Okay. So as I take over, you all have taken some time out of your day today, which we appreciate, to talk about professional development. And you've heard the list of SAAL's resources and what's available to you. So now I'd like to take a step back and talk about Stephen Covey's Begin with the End in Mind, in reference to your professional development and career planning and supporting our professional selves in this process. So this is a concept that everything is created twice, first in the mental state and then in the physical. So it's important that you all take time to think about what it is you want to achieve and have a clear vision of this end state. So is it that you want to learn a new skill to help supplement the work that you do? Is it getting that little bit of motivation to finish and polish off that project for publication? Lord knows I have a ton of those that I haven't made any time for. Maybe it's just taking time for yourself, whether it's some type of wellness goal for yourself, or if it's just meeting other people in the field and connecting. As we all know, we get very siloed and busy in our work. It's easy to forget about the people on the other end. So do you have a clear picture of what you aspire to do in your work life in regards to professional development? I think a lot of us forget to take time to articulate that. So I'd like to challenge you all, after you've heard everything today, to maybe develop that vision statement in regards to professional development. And if you have any goals that you want to develop to achieve that. So I'll give you some tips. You've heard a lot today. So one tip is you need to carve out some time to create this career vision around professional development. So what does that ideal future state look like in the mental? Write that down and bring it to fruition, because as Stephen Covey said, begin with the end in mind. So the second tip I have is, do you have any current career goals? And how would you get there? And do you have any values that feed into this? And how will your values impact that? Third tip, suspend negative thinking. I think it's very easy in higher ed to become very cynical, and we become our own worst enemies in the process. So don't assume your future is limited based on the current situation. I think it's an important exercise to realize that there's a lot of time involved in this, but it's important for us to invest that time. So I'll give you some one or more vision exercises to kind of get those creative juices flowing. So just some things I've come up with is, how do you define career success? What job will help you achieve that success? Another one is, I imagine your future self with some great career success, however you define that. What does that look like? And what do you have in your life at that point? And I think it's important to look at that future state, begin with the end in mind, and then figure out how you're going to supplement that. So put this all together in a concise paragraph, a statement, a word, and keep that vision visible. Put it on your screen, place it somewhere, have it on your phone, and review it regularly. I think it's important that we think about what we want to do and investing in ourselves. We're the most important people in our life story, and we often forget that. So just kind of challenging you to get those creative juices flowing. Think about the begin with the end in mind, using Stephen Covey's advice, and just make time to even write something down. And I think SAAL has a lot of different resources. I know a lot of folks on the call today and other committee members are always willing to chat. I'm always willing to do a chat and talk through things. So feel free to reach out to me or anyone else on the committee. And so I'll turn it back over to other folks on our team if we have any final words.
Yeah, I was just going to add, just to piggyback off of what some of the things Renee said, the taking time to reflect on it, I think, is really important. And as important as it is to have your vision, I think it's equally important and also equally challenging to make the time throughout the year to update that or talk about or think about the progress you've made, as well as maybe the areas that you could be doing more. One of the things that I do with my team is we reflect on their professional development at least quarterly. So even if they're not making the time for it, I make the time for it in one-on-ones. And along those lines, I think if you're in a supervisor position, make the time as a supervisor with your team so that you are encouraging and giving them space and permission to take time to reflect on that. And if you're a supervisee, I would also encourage you to request that time and ask for opportunity to get feedback from your supervisor at your institution about that. And I think it's also important wherever you are in your career to feel out the support you have available to growing beyond your immediate area or responsibilities. I know that's one thing I have a new hire that is 2 weeks on the job, and I think I've already said to her 4 different times of how it's totally fine if some of her professional development is beyond her job, right? If she wants to grow in things beyond assessment, I want to support that because assessment relates to a lot of things in higher ed, so it's not going to be problematic. Likewise, I want to support her growth, even if that goes beyond assessment. So, however, I say that because you may want to feel out how acceptable that is at your institution and whether you can be very open about that and also if you are open talking to different people about it versus where you might have to be selective in talking to certain people at your institution or outside of your institution and finding ways to grow that's going to be meaningful to you.
And both Carrie and I chatted our own tips as well into the chat box on YouTube. If other people have ideas, I don't think I've seen other people's ideas yet already, but feel free to share if any of the other participants in today's talk have ideas or other questions.
And while the questions are rolling in, because we have this delay between when we see the slides and are asking for questions and when we see the chat, I think, one of the things that I try and use the summer for, even though, my team, it's not a downtime because it's when a lot of reports are coming in or for accreditation, it depends on what activity we have going on, but we're certainly pretty active. So, but because some class activity calms down a bit and some faculty members have some parts of the summer off, I try and make sure that our team really is intentional in thinking about the work that we've done for the year, as well as being strategic and thinking about what goals we want to set for the coming year, and then parallel to that, be thinking about their own professional development journey and what that means beyond just their job responsibilities. So again, just going back to Renee's point, it's important for us to make that time, and whatever we can do to structure that in to help force us to reflect. I think that's really important, since we can be very go and move from one project to the next. It's important to stop, reflect, and make sure we're directing our energy and efforts where they'll best be suited.
So I see a lot of comments on reading articles, sharing articles, maybe having that as a part of a meeting that you're a part of, or maybe setting up time with a colleague. And I think that really connects to, our outcomes of this session today, and thinking through, what's one kind of idea that you can get and engage with. And, is it looking through the blog and talking about a couple of blog posts? Is it connecting on maybe an article that was sent through the listserv, or an article from the repository, and really connecting into the journal that we access, that we have through SAAL. And so I think that's a really important part, is that reading, and then having the opportunity to engage in those discussions around that content.
Yeah, and I commented in the chat that idea of articles and content. Last summer, AALHE helped encourage and share out about kind of having a book club project throughout the summer in tackling some both old favorites and new publications related to assessment and student success. And I think they're doing it again this year. I saw them putting out the feelers if folks are interested in it again, but I know I'm not going to be able to participate or engage, but it'd be worth checking to see if that's something they're doing again, if some of that outside and peer accountability can be helpful for you.
And we still have a few minutes left, but Carrie, if you'll go to the next slide, I just wanted to put up our names and email addresses again. I think I can speak for all of us that we that presented today enjoy talking about professional development. That's part of why we're on the Professional Development Committee. If you have questions, want to talk to us more individually, that would feel free to reach out to us. Also, we hope that you found ways that you're going to not just learn and grow your own professional development, but that you're going to engage and give back in some way. So that's writing, or even adding to our calendar to help other people be aware of resources. That please do both of those things and support each other and as a group of professionals. And I think that's all that we have to share today. Thank you for your participation, and to the committee for engaging with us in this conversation. And Carrie will send out the slides so that if you didn't catch our email addresses or have other things you want to look back on, you can. And the recording from today's session will also be available. Also, look out for the registration for our next structured conversation at the end of the month. And we will hopefully see you all then. Have a good day.